Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Ramon Foster Show, which is brought to you every week by the Get-Go Cafe and Market, where they are open 24/7, serving hot, fresh, quality food and also coffee. What you got there, Moan?
You know what? They have tea there too. That's what I'm having this morning. I switched it up from the coffee. I went with a little bit of tea when I have time to actually do it. And hey, I'm sipping. I'm sipping this
Some
morning.
Tennessee tea I see there,
Sip
along with
tea.
the Tennessee colors you got there. And
Big win for us last night. Huge win.
I hear you. We got one of these coming your way too, by the way.
And I just sent you my address, and I can't wait to have it on next week.
3X, baby. 3X.
Working, baby.
Sitting on top of the box over there.
Just waiting for your what do we call it? Your CEO to send it, or
Yes.
operations manager.
Yes, she's all over that. It is Steelers versus Bears on Monday night, and it's a very different Steelers team that we're talking about these days. And I have to ask you, Moan, as a lifelong offensive lineman, tell me, has it done your heart any good to see that people in Pittsburgh have been forced virtually at gunpoint to appreciate the importance of the position, both for better and worse? No, I'm being serious here.
No, I'll say this, across the league, everybody's starting to put a highlight on it, because you realize that sometimes, quotation marks, bad quarterbacks is because they don't have much time to throw. Bad run games is because there are no real lanes for running backs to actually hit. It is an art when you honestly talk about what it takes to be a good offensive lineman. Some come ready-made out of the package, i.e. Marquise Pouncey. Hey, we knew he was good from the get-go. I think Trent Williams may have been one of those guys. But even some of the prime guys, I don't know if Bakhtiari was a guy that we knew was going to be a stud all the way around. And just in general, DeCastro had to learn a little bit. He grew, but he had to learn a little bit. Marcus Gilbert had to learn a little bit. Kelvin Beachum, Alejandro Villanueva, just the guys I'm looking at. And then you'll have some guys that come in the league that are, hey, this is the next one. We got to watch him. He's the next one. We got to, hey, all-pro, Pro Bowl. And then they dud out. It's a position where you have to take it very serious. You got to understand that, hey, it is a grinder mentality to play that position. And you know what? You're probably going to eat more crow early on than you do, than you want to as a young offensive lineman too. But it's the idea that you got to let a group grow. It's the idea that, look, if you can keep as many as you can together without moving them around, without the shuffling, and let them get a little cohesion and rhythm, then you can do something very positive with a group, man. And the appreciation factor, I think, comes into the fact that, look, offenses are a whole lot different now. There's a lot of quarterbacks in this league that are throwing the ball at a high rate. And not only that, I think the fact that you're seeing the run game diminish across the league for a whole lot of teams, that when you have a really good running back, the way Pittsburgh does with Najee Harris, you want to see him shine week in and week out. But the growth of this offensive line is part of him getting to that point too. Like, Najee's good, but that offensive line up front has to grow a little bit more, has to go through a little bit more trials and tribulation to actually get to the promised land of what you want to see. It's sad to kind of say it, but it takes time, DK.
Well, here, take this in the proper spirit, since you were part of the previous group, okay? Because I know you're a straight shooter here, but is it possible that Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin said to themselves, you know what, maybe there's an actual advantage to being younger in ways? Like, you miss out on the experience, you miss out on all the tricks of the trade, you miss out on being able to tune out 73,000 people screaming in your ears and all that other stuff. But when I looked at that offensive line and covering them up in Cleveland last week, and they're mauling people.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. When you saw it,
yeah.
Okay, this was not like, I'm just going to seal and hold this block.
Nah.
No, this was occasional massacres.
Because it's this reason. When we were, I say about 7, 8, 9, 10, as far as the years in which we were playing together, it became such a norm to go in and do a job that way. Or, if it was okay to have a bad game, well, I'll bounce back. Well, for those guys having a bad game or not so great year, when they have an opportunity to have a bye week and then go into a stadium and say, hey, we're back to where we need to be, then that gives them the ability to erase everything out of their mind. The thing about being a young guy and taking so much crap is you hear it all the time. You pay more attention to it. Me, I didn't pay attention to it. So, in my older years, when like 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, I didn't really pay much attention to it because, hey, I'll bounce back. But for those guys, they take it more personal. So when you have an opportunity, and I'm sure Coach Tomlin and just the offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, just fed those guys gunpowder all week. If there's a week for you guys to get going, it's this one. And the advantage of having a young group is they're so young and dumb that they don't realize they were going to do the job anyway. Okay. But Mike T, and I got to give Matt Canada his credit, and I'm sure Ben said something to those guys too. It's like, hey, you guys need to be the ones. And you're just like young dogs holding them back on the chain to where it's like, hey, that was a huge stepping stone for those guys this past week.
It really
because
was.
I know this. I mean, Myles Garrett got a sack. Okay. It was the idea that you got to deal with him in the best way for this young offensive line to set a tone for what an AFC North is going to be, is to go beat them in their own backyard. That's one thing that I think the whole franchise did. When you brought a new guy in Pittsburgh that you knew it was going to be, there for a while, I never forget when Le'Veon started running good. And he ran out of bounds one time in the game. And Coach T told him, no, that ain't how we play AFC North ball. If you see him, you get him. And now, time after time, Le'Veon going out of bounds, he lowered that shoulder.
He embodied AFC North football as a running back. That's something I told Lev once in a just a casual conversation.
Yeah.
I said, I just want you to know that I see how you are when you play Cincinnati. And he was sitting in his stall and he looked up and he said, thank you. Like, and he meant it. He was like, because Lev's always been seen as that guy that's kind of finesse and slink through and get skinny and all that other stuff. In AFC North games, he was blowing people, which was funny for a wiry kind of guy. I look at the physical component, Moan, that this team brought up front in Cleveland, and I saw it as the difference. Because when you're getting like Najee's numbers was it 26 carries, 91 yards.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's a lot of carries to get the yards, but you believe in it enough to something that you've talked about a lot, to stick with it and pound away.
And it ain't pretty, but it made a point. It made a point that you're not going to make us back down. And that's what the good part is about having a good young offensive line like that that's steadily growing, is you guys can't back down because you're not afforded to. But this is the other part on letting this many guys who have this small of a resume to play together in this league, is you get them for next year.
Yeah.
And they lean on what they did as young guys. And now they're not as young.
Go ahead.
And no, I was just going to say, that's the beauty of what they have going on. Like, has it been perfect? No. Has it been the worst in the league? No. Has it been the best in the league? No. This is exactly where you want it to be, as far as like there's a base. Now we step up from there.
Yeah, exactly. I have two other things to ask you related to the offensive line. One is Dan Moore was basically told that 95 over there, you go ahead and block him. Okay. And he didn't get a lot of help. And that's been the point of some criticism here, because let's face it, 95 still made his, even though he only got the one sack, he got into the backfield a lot. Why does a coaching staff do that? And is it in any way advantageous, as opposed to saying, you know what, we're just going to put Zach Gentry right here on your hip. Yeah. And just chip away at Garrett and take him out of the game. Why do you tell Moore, hey, listen, 4th round rookie, go shut this guy down?
Yeah. Well, number one, if you have a guy in chipping the whole time, it takes away from the weapons also that you
Obviously,
got
yeah.
offensively.
Yeah.
The other part of it is this, and then people get, they want to say something about it, but let's not forget Ben still has one of the quickest release times or times of holding the ball in the pocket. So he knew the ball was going to be gone. Now it also goes to this. What better way to grow up? If I allow you to go out there,
Yes.
if I allow you to go out there and think about this with your kids. Now, there was, from what I understand, helicopter parents, that's a term to be used. You know what I'm saying? There's the, hey, don't do anything for your kids. Like, hey, stop. Like, you can't protect them from everything. Now there's the whole bulldozer parents where they move every obstacle out of the way you can. Well, when they face advantageous type of situations, what are they going to do? What better way than to throw him? It's not like he's like virtually drowning. He just got to go out there and play better than he has against anybody else this season. I never forget Chooks when he started against Denver with Von Miller, held Von to 0 sacks.
Yeah,
Now Chooks is better from that. Does he still have room to grow? Yeah. But what do you think that did for his confidence?
Yeah.
It's through the roof. I mean, Matt Filer last year going up against Aaron Donald, or 2 years ago going up against Aaron Donald. Like, there wasn't any chip help or anything like that was necessary. Matt grew up, got paid for that, and now he's a solid veteran in this league. You can't save him from everything. And also, it's too many weapons on that offense for you to be putting the tight end in that you know is not going to go out and catch a ball or two. He's just another skill player you're taking away. And we know this to be true. Pittsburgh has a lot of skill players that Ben want to get the ball to.
Yeah,
I think it hinders the
question.
offense, and it also takes away from the confidence that you have in a potential future starting left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
This is this too. I think Chooks might be coming up soon. Zach is still there on the contract. Now, depending on what happens with Zach, whenever, however he comes back, they're planning for potential future of saying, hey, you three battle it out, or hey, we got to make a decision to keep two of the three.
Well, and you're leading right into the last question, which is about Zach Banner, because by every account, he was fully healthy last week and didn't get a helmet.
Yeah.
Now, when you're talking about offensive line, you're talking about chemistry, you're talking about gelling. These are all cliches, especially in your world, but they're also accurate.
They are.
And when you start seeing an L-R across the board here, okay, with Moore, with Dotson, with Green, with Turner, with Okorafor, and you see that it's starting to happen, why, Moan, would you mess with it? Unless you're bringing out Jonathan Ogden in his freaking prime, okay? Why do you mess with that? Why would you do that?
You don't, because that group has something. It sucks for Zach. And I'll say this too. I think Zach is a guy that Mike T is probably holding back a little bit more, simply because he's a big guy with an ACL. I feel like with Zach's situation, it's better for him to still stay out a little bit longer, even though he's chomping to get out there, simply because Zach has to be, I think, as healthy as he can to actually get out there. You know, if that makes sense.
It does.
For him to be good, Zach has to be all the way right. And I say this because Zach plays high, like his emotions. So if he's not feeling good, meaning his knee, then I don't think we get the best Zach. Like, it's some guys, like I could go out there probably like 85%, 80%. And muster it through, where I knew like I had to tolerate a certain pain, like the pain was okay to me. Whereas with him, I think he has to, everything's got to be in sync.
It's got to be in sync.
And
the other thing, as far as Zach not getting a helmet versus Joe Haig getting one, there has to be an understanding in the public that Joe Haig can back up at both tackles, and Zach is backing up only on the right, which is a little bit different. It's, you know what, these are much better problems for us to be talking about.
You know what, but I respect Mike T and the staff for holding Zach out more, because I'm sure the pressure of them wanting to put him out there is big, but this is a situation where a coach is really taking the health of his players on more than the actual play.
When we come back on the Ramon Foster Show, you alluded to this earlier, we're going to do a segment on it, why this defense has always been so good against running quarterbacks, like, say, for example, someone in the spirit of Justin Fields. Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show, brought to you by the Get-Go Cafe and Market. One thing, Ramon, that's held true about this football team over the years has been the defense has not allowed running quarterbacks to run. It's been said that the Steelers formed the blueprint for beating the Ravens. I know that's something that you really believe in, but they haven't allowed any running quarterbacks to run. Why and how?
Well, the running joke in the room, even when I was in the building, even when I was a young guy, just be an outside linebacker. That's all he says, just be an outside linebacker, be competent enough to just be the next man up. All the money on the team, aside from the quarterback, goes to the outside linebacker. True, okay? I don't care who you are. The most recent one I knew of, the older guy, was just Joey, okay? Joey Porter. Be an outside linebacker. That's all he used to say. All he used to give out the best gifts on Christmas. Okay, you on the Christmas Secret Santa. Okay, on the Christmas Secret Santa, they be walking out with Louis Vuitton bags, Gucci bags, computers, just everything. Because the room is so paid. But I'll say this to the point:
the room is so paid.
It's so paid. Okay, first rounder, second rounder, first rounder, second rounder, first rounder, second round. Undrafted guy. Look at this Hall of Famer now in James Harrison, outside linebacker, okay? There's a tone set in that room, man, that starts with those dudes. Like, yes, the guys in the middle meant a lot. Casey meant a lot. Kiesel meant a lot, okay? Hamp meant a lot. Yeah, I mentioned Camp already. Camp, just the whole group, Kursky, Hokie, all of those guys, going up to Ziggy, anybody, they mean a lot. But those dudes outside mean the world to that defense, and they pride themselves on it because Coach Butts was an outside linebacker also. And the fact that, look, you rest your head on the fact that they know they're getting football guys. And football guys want to play the game the exact same, the correct way. A guy like Melvin Ingram, awesome. But look at the guy that they brought in Highsmith. Okay? They're known to get after the ball. They're known to take pride in getting sacks. They're known and also being able to drop in coverage when necessary, and also knowing how to contain a running quarterback. I saw it most recently in my last year with how they went against Kyler Murray. You have a guy like Bud Dupree, who's 6'4", 240-ish, maybe heavier than that, maybe lighter than that, run down a friggin' Kyler Murray.
From behind. Yeah, I was there.
Because
from behind. And it's like Kyler Murray didn't even exist in that game.
No.
I asked someone else in the press box that day, I said, is it possible that he'll want to actually go back and choose baseball after this game?
Yeah, because he realized there's guys that at least know how to attack. And the reason why this team does so well with with the running quarterback is because those dudes that they go get are that good. Even when Ola was in Pittsburgh, he would make a play or two because he knew there was a standard as far as getting the job done at the outside linebacker position. The guys in the middle push the pocket, and those dudes do their job as best as they can because they know, one, if they do the job, there's a potential for a payday at the end of it. But secondly, you better do your job, because if you don't, there's usually somebody behind you that's looking to sneak in and get something from you also. That room is deep, man. The pedigree of those guys, year in and year out, I don't know if there's ever been just a bad one. I know somebody might mention, Jarvis Jones wasn't great, but Jarvis Jones still made plays when necessary.
Yeah,
he's in the books for some
Jarvis
stuff,
had athleticism. He didn't necessarily have the right frame or size.
The body for it, yeah.
Whenever I think of the Steelers facing someone like Justin Fields, and we'll get to him specifically in a minute, when I think of them facing someone like that, to me, the way this defense has been built for a long time now is around the pass rush.
Yeah.
Well, what is the pass rush? It's sending everybody after the quarterback.
Blitzburg.
So whenever you're talking about facing Baltimore, the fact of the matter is, other than an awareness, there isn't a modification that Keith Butler and Mike Tomlin have to make. What they have to make sure is that their OLBs, and you're right to be emphasizing them, obviously, is that the OLBs make sure that nothing happens east-westish.
No, it doesn't come out. There's pride to that. I recently talked to Beecham and James Harrison About it might have been a month or two ago, and we were just on the phone with them, and they were just talking about what it meant to play in that room. James was. I was on the phone with him, and he was just talking about what it meant to play in that room where those guys paid their dues on special teams. They had to watch older guys go get work in, and then when you got your opportunity, you took full advantage of it. Like it's legitimately a lineage, like next man up when it comes to those positions, man. And when you do it as well as they have, and you got guys in front of you that can say, he did it, he did it, he did it, he did it, he did it. Why can't you? So when it comes down to, stopping and running quarterback, they've done it. They've seen it all. From, like you said, Lamar, first time having to see him and get him, Patrick Mahomes, and just Vince Young. You know what I'm saying? I remember watching James Harrison suplex him with the Titans. Pretty much, I mean, he put that man on his head.
Yeah,
because you're not going to run on us. Like it's been done for time and time again, because for certain teams, the way Pittsburgh play, if you let them run, then they can expose you fully. Being able to get out of pocket when you feel like the front seven are supposed to cover the back four, they can burn a team like Pittsburgh that send guys that, hey, we're going to brush out of our gap one or two times. Like they can't afford it. So those outside linebackers have to be on their job.
You've rightly mentioned a lot of names here. I want to throw in one more because I thought he always stood out in this regard, and that was Jason Worlds. Okay, Worlds.
Yes,
Worlds was a guy who he controlled his side.
Yes.
Of the line in all different ways. And again, not necessarily we were talking about different frames and bodies or whatever.
Yeah.
Worlds wasn't, the Bud type build either.
No.
But he was so quick and straight lined to the quarterback that he'd find a way to dart through. But it was the same effect, Ramon. It was a bookend effect.
Yeah.
They came in this way. Now, look, giving some credit somewhere else here, if that quarterback goes forward, you better have somebody shedding blocks there too, right?
Oh, no doubt about it. And the linebackers too. I mean, young Devin has always been the guy from Footy to Ferrier. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always been guys that fill those roles, man. Whether it's a free agent off the road or whatever. But and I'll even mention another guy. You talk about securing the edge for the run. Who did it better than Lamar Woodley recently?
Bud.
Wood or Bud.
But I mean, Bud made himself into that kind of player.
Don't run to my side.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, that's something that TJ was able to do here virtually from day one. But Bud came along in that regard very much as well. And I have no doubt that that's a big part of the reason that Tennessee ended up paying what they did for him, because it's not just pinning your ears back and getting the quarterback. It's being all things. Let me ask you about Justin Fields specifically. We know for a fact that Mike Tomlin loved him from the video that everyone caught at the Ohio State Pro Day. But what kind of a player is this, and how's he coming along, and what kind of a threat does he pose to Pittsburgh?
You know why he loved him? Because he was scouting him also.
Yes.
He was trying to see what his efficiencies are, okay?
Yes.
I love you because I'm trying to keep my enemies close, okay?
Said, for anybody who hasn't seen that video, it's Tomlin's at Ohio State's Pro Day, and the coach puts himself near this one door where he makes sure that he can see the kid on his way out to the field for the Pro Day, and says something like, "Give me a show. Give me a show. Let's see what you got here. Let's see what you got." As if this kid didn't have all the freaking pressure on him in the world. He's now got Mike Tomlin standing there telling him, "Let's see it. Come on."
Yeah, I'll say this too. It's simply Mike T wanted to see him do well. He does want to see that too. I know, like he's a guy, man, that loves the game. He likes the game being in good hands. I know that to be true. Like it might sound weird. He don't show y'all that type of stuff, but he likes the game. He loves to see people compete. And he knew that's what Justin Fields was going to do, having given the opportunity to say something like that to him. But he also knew he was going to get the best him. Meaning, hey, if he's going super hard to his right or left, I'm going to see his best pass or his worst pass. He want to see every angle of him, and that's what's happened in this league. So we've seen some of the best of Justin Fields so far. I do think he's the quarterback for that franchise. They do have to protect him. That head coach and OC got to get on the same page also. We saw, what was it, last week when he pretty much took the game over one or two times. They lost, but he took the game over in that flash. If you get the right coach, in Chicago. That flash and what you see here and there is what you're going to get out of him. I think he's a talent. I think he's a guy that's always been up against the ball a little bit, leaving Georgia, having to go to Ohio State and prove himself. Having a team step up big time to come get you at pick 10. He has the back, and he just got to get the support of the coaching staff to say, hey, you're our guy. And I don't think he does anything wild against Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh has always had a history of just trying to take out rookie quarterbacks whenever they can. And that's the beauty of what that defense is. And like I said, Coach T been nerd enough to kind of hype this kid up to see his deficiencies. He's going to wish him well against the other 31 teams.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not going to be a whole lot of mercy, you would think, on Monday. I would be remiss if I didn't also mention that they're pretty good at confusing the living hell out of young quarterbacks. That's also a big, big part of this, too. Moan, when we come back, Slice of Life.
Let's do it.
Welcome back. It's time for our Slice of Life segment with Ramon. And Ramon, one of the things that you've been blessed to see over the course of your career is a whole lot of black and gold.
I have.
Everywhere you went. It wasn't just at Heinz Field. And you hear these announcers say things like, Steelers fans really travel well. Not all of them travel very far.
No.
A lot of them, you're going into a place like a Phoenix, like nobody's from Phoenix.
No.
Everyone's just from somewhere
everywhere else.
Yeah.
Here in Nashville.
I see
license plates and decals everywhere of Steeler fans.
And
everywhere.
And in Nashville, you have also a transient population because you have a lot of people moving in. It's a fast-growing city. But you've also seen people who actually do, and I have as well, because I make these commercial flights, get on the plane and go.
Yeah. Dude, I was in an airport about 2 weekends ago, coming back to Nashville. And I'm in Atlanta airport. Of course, that's a melting pot of
everything.
Everywhere. And I'm walking around. This is an early morning flight, too, so this is prime travel time for game day. 1 o'clock kicks, okay, or 12 o'clock kicks if it's central. And I'm seeing I see Bears, see friggin' Miami, a lot of Miami in the Atlanta airport. I'm seeing Titans fans. I'm seeing Steelers fans. I'm seeing a bunch of just fans. And it dawned on me, like, as a player, I only get the bubble. Yes. I travel with the team, on the road with the team.
The charters, too, people should know that these are private charters. You don't even you're going right. You're driving onto the tarmac and getting onto the plane. You don't see any of this stuff.
I don't see any of this. So flying commercial, doing the commercial stuff, even getting on the bus, I don't see that. We get escorted into the hotel, go the back way through the restaurants and up the service elevators. Like, we don't see any of like the travel that happens on game day. But now I'm doing regular pedestrian stuff now, okay? Traveling on a Sunday morning. And I'm seeing all these different jerseys. It dawned on me, like, there are people who traveled the morning of for 12 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Eastern game, go to the game and travel back home that same day if possible. And it really hit me, like, it really is America's sport. Like, fans really do fan out. The support, the dollars. This almost sounds like a fan appreciation segment almost, but it was just super cool to me to see all these different jerseys, different races, different genders, just be in the airport the morning of a game to go support their team. I was blown away by it because I just show up to the show. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I've ever done from high school all the way in. I never traveled to a game. Heck,
no, this is different, and I think it's part of what I think it's a big part of what makes the NFL what it is in our society today is the fact that there's one game a week. And that allows for two different things in my mind, Ramon. One is what you're talking about, which is that you can still be a season ticket holder or someone who goes to all the games, even if your job or something else in your life took you away from your favorite city. The late Mr. Rooney, Dan Rooney, once told me that close to half of the Steelers' own season ticket base at Heinz Field lives nowhere near Western Pennsylvania. That's why our downtown hotels and everything are filled on a Saturday night, because this all people coming in from out of town. Why? Because there's only 8 of them.
Yeah.
And they can get back
Yeah.
to their jobs by Monday morning or whatever it is. They find a way, like what you're talking about. The second thing is, because there are so few games,
Yeah.
everyone's an expert. Like
you get a whole week.
You have all week, and you only have to commit 3 hours of your week in order to become like, Tom Jackson. You're just like the ultimate authority on this thing. You can watch all the games and know absolutely everything. And there isn't another sport that affords that opportunity.
No. And that's the reason losses suck. That's the reason, you celebrate wins way past the 48 hours that Coach T said we're allotted. But that's also why the bonds with the teams are so much more richer too. That's why the bonds with the fans are so much more richer too, because nowadays you got that whole week to meet new people on social media. You might see somebody at a store, might see somebody at the airport that you form a bond with, and you become family. You get mad, you get excited, you get glad together too. And that's what I recognize. Like these people who were, of different teams, one saw another, they gravitated to them. They shook hands, and I was just like, this is some cool stuff. Like it's beyond just the game. Like that's why I get it. I don't understand it, and I hate it. But that's why fans go with players the way they do. About you don't love this team the way I do. Well, your dollars are a little bit different. You plan from the time the schedule comes out, when July till December.
Yep.
Hey, I got to go to this game.
Every step, they circle them way in advance. And
and so I that weekend I was in the airport, I appreciated the fan aspect a whole lot more. And mind you, it was somebody in there with they didn't have a backpack, they didn't have a rollaway bag. They had
just going to the game
on their jersey,
no
some
toothbrush,
shorts,
nothing,
and some matching socks and shoes to go to the game. I guarantee you, they went to the game. The game was over at 4:00. They were in the airport by 6:00, going back home.
I'm back.
That's dedication, man. I now appreciate that.
Great stuff, Moan. Let's do it again next week.
I'm for it, man.
All right.